Hey everyone, it's been a long time coming. I think we made it about 3 weeks, but the Jack and Joe show is back. And Jack, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. It's good to be back. I have missed this, and I'm looking forward to chatting all things off the pitch, Fulham related.
Are we talking about Barnsley? No. Are we talking about West Brom? No. Good
Definitely not.
vibes only. Yeah,
Yeah.
100% not. We're probably going to make another video before QPR. So for this video, me and Jack were both thinking we're going to talk about some off the pitch stuff. There's been a few things happening recently. The most pressing of which, and a video has just gone up on it from Stephen, but we're going to touch on it, is the Riverside Stand. It's an interesting development for those of you that aren't aware, but I'm sure that pretty much all of you are. The lower tier will be opening next season, not the upper tier. And you can now buy season tickets there. And for those that were in the Riverside Stand all those years ago, you can get one for £1,000, which I have to say,
Goodness me,
is not the most appealing deal I've ever heard of in my life. In fact, I think it's very unappealing. But Jack, what do you think?
Well, I mean, £1,000 to watch Fulham get top 4 in the Premier League. I mean, it seems,
when you look at it that way, it's okay.
It seems worth the price, but no. Let's actually be serious here. This is out of touch a little bit, given COVID and people still struggling financially from the situations. I can understand it from a business point of view. A stand that would have cost a lot of money to build, demolish, rebuild back up. A lot of planning has gone into it ever since the Khans basically joined the club. They were basically down to do this, but it's a little out of touch. And one thing I've always thought that Shahid Khan, I gave credit for, a lot of credit for, and I think he's a top guy, was his, understand his ear on the ground when it comes to the fans and what the fans want, despite maybe what Tony does, sometimes on Twitter or whatever. I think they got this one wrong. I'm not sure it's necessarily Tony Khan's decision, Shahid Khan's decision as to how much we charge. That's obviously a different department, but I just think it doesn't fill my heart with joy. I tell you that for a fact. It's a bit of a middle finger to the fans, ones who have loyally came back after lockdown. It was a difficult time to watch it behind closed doors, and look, the Riverside, it looks amazing. It's going to be amazing. The view, even lower tier, is going to be state of the art, best view you can get, premium Premier seats. But £1,000. I mean, if you compare that with other Premier League sides, like of Arsenal and that mob horrible lot down the road, then yeah, I'm not. Yeah, then I think they're a bit out of touch. And will we be in the Premier League next season? Perhaps, potentially. But I think they've got it wrong. Joe, let me hear your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think first thing that we should point out is, and this is not to say that this makes it okay, the Riverside has always been expensive. And that's when the last stand, quite frankly, was absolutely crap. Like, the facilities were awful. It looked terrible. The view was good. And that's why the seats were expensive. The lower tier seats, as you say, will be good. Will they be worth £1,000? I don't think so. I do think they've got this one wrong. I'm not going to start a witch hunt or anything, because I do think that there are some people that are going to pay it. The problem that I think we've got, and this is the next point I want to come on to now, away from the Riverside Stand, is just Craven Cottage as a whole. With the new stand being delayed, I think there's a massive opportunity for the club. We've said this offline. I've seen it in forums on Twitter, to improve the atmosphere. And a way of doing that is by providing affordable season tickets for, in particular, younger fans, and encouraging that fan base to grow. And if we are in the Premier League, I think we will be. That's an even better time to improve the fan base, because what we don't want is next season all the Putney season ticket holders that do want to pay the premium move to the Riverside Stand, the ones that don't stay. And then we've got loads of empty seats that are probably going to be quite expensive as well. Away fans touts that buy season tickets. You know, we've had issues in the past where we've had away fans in home areas, and it really grinds my gears, Jack. I really
It's
don't
the worst.
like it.
It's the worst thing ever.
It's like, can you imagine it at Leeds? I know it's different. No, an away fan in a home area would be like, good luck getting out of there injury free. And I'm not saying that's right. Don't get me wrong. I like that Craven Cottage is a friendly ground, but it's just one of those things that wouldn't happen for that reason. And I don't like it. So I would love for the club to address this. And what worries me the most about the Riverside prices is the prices for the rest of the ground, because I think this is a big opportunity. And I really hope that they don't miss it, essentially.
Yes, there were some confusion with season tickets last season, I think, or for this season, sorry. When I went to, I mean, it's not worth getting into that much, but when I went to book my ticket, it was specifically young adults, even though I've surpassed that age bracket. I had thought, maybe a bit with naivety, but I genuinely thought that because of COVID, they've frozen the prices and they've frozen the brackets so that you haven't missed out. So I go and buy this ticket because it's the only option they give me. And then what? Peterborough at home, they tell me, no, you've got to pay the difference. You're not allowed in the ground. And then the same happens to like people, you know, it's becoming a trend now when you've got the wrong age bracket. By no fault of the fans. I don't think this is I think this was an issue with the club and actually something their mistake. And yet, you know, we're having to pay, you know, I had to pay like another £100 difference. It was a bit frustrating, and they took the season ticket off me and now I've got paper tickets for the rest of the season. It's frustrating, but yeah, I'm gonna have to pay adult prices next season tickets, and yeah, I'm looking probably north of about £600 we're going to be looking at for next season, which of course is not ideal, but this is the Barclays. It could be the Barclays, it could be the Sky Bet. You just never know. But bit frustrating. Joe, should we move on to some slightly more positive things? And that is the transfer mill. We're in March, and the transfer mill is starting to turn its wonderful wheels again. Here we go.
every 5 minutes, someone shares a tweet, and it just says "rumour," and it is fantastic because, Oh, actually, very quickly, one more positive thing on the Riverside, and it's super quick, is excited to see what the corners now essentially being filled will do in terms of when there's fans there. Interested to see if that makes any difference to the atmosphere. Fingers crossed it does. Rumours. So I think most of them have been centre-back related, which is, I think we both agree, crucial no matter what division we're in. Tim Ream, I think, has been fantastic this season. I don't think he's capable of Premier League football consistently starting. I'm very happy with him being back up for what it's worth, but I think he might end up leaving the club this year or next. So let's wait and see what happens. But we've had Joe Gomez. We've had, oh my goodness, who else have we even had? We had Joe Gomez. We had the AC Milan captain, Nico Williams, Romagnoli, Matt Targett. There's a lot of tasty rumours here, and a lot of them, in my opinion, are actually viable. They're Premier League quality. Nico Williams makes sense because he's having a great time at Fulham. He's getting game time. You saw the effect that had in his Wales performance last night at the time of filming. He was fantastic. And that was a left wing back. So that's an interesting one. Matt Targett coming on to left backs. We're rumoured to be interested in him. Whether he goes to Newcastle or not, you would think it makes sense that he would stay there. Although at the same time, are Newcastle looking for a cut above? Are they trying to just zoom up the table as quick as possible? And with respect to Matt Targett, he's a mid-table Premier League left back. They're probably looking above that already because they can. They are absolutely loaded. But here's the one I wanted to come on to, Jack.
Yeah,
Joe Gomez. And this is the rumour that it did excite me. What were your thoughts?
This is a player who, 2018, I was super excited about, not from like a Liverpool point of view, from an England point of view. And then he's been very, very unlucky with injuries. I think he had some sort of injury that left him out for at least about 8-9 months. Killed his season, killed his potential in terms of, within the context of that season, and killed his chances of making the World Cup squad, I think. And then I think he was out of favour at Liverpool because obviously they got Van Dijk and all the injuries last season, very boring. We beat them 1-0, blah blah blah. And yeah, I think this is a really exciting rumour. I think it's someone who hasn't quite broke through in his career, settled yet. He's had a few games at Liverpool, obviously, like last few seasons, he's played quite a lot of football. But in terms of finding his place, finding somewhere where he can grow his career and become an established Premier League centre-back, touch wood, we're not there yet. It would be an amazing signing. English, brilliant. Might have to pay a little bit over the odds for him because of that, but I think it's a player who hasn't reached his potential yet, hasn't reached his peak. He's still, I think he's still like 23, 24. I could just imagine him alongside Tosin Adarabioyo in the Premier League. It just makes me very excited. And then, of course, Nico Williams is fitting like a glove at Fulham, which is quite sad on one sense because of Kenny Tete. But like you say, if he played left wing back last night for Wales, then perhaps it's an option where we don't go, oh, do we need a new left back, or can we just slot Williams in at left back, or does he play right back? Who knows? But the good thing about this, Joe, and you know what, it was really funny. It was actually really funny. I was watching back a video we did after Villa away last season, the most heartbreaking defeats. And I actually said, because it was March, and obviously we're in March now, I said, I hope this time next year we're already talking about the fact that we can already look at targets, not even like Matt Target himself,
targets,
transfer targets for next season, have an extended period of which we can identify targets, because that, for me, is going to be a huge benefit going forward. Because if you've got the time, like I literally said, I hope we're in a position where in the league, we're in a position where we basically know we're going up. So we've got loads of time, and we do. So can we get it right, identify the targets for a good price, and get some good business done early? That would be the dream, because that, I think, is such a key cog into whether you're going to survive or go down. And we've got to make it right, Joe, this time.
Yeah, 100%. And I think a good example to compare how it can go wrong is, look aside from Fulham for a second. Let's look at Norwich last season.
I knew it was coming.
And I know that you're going to love this. They go up, and I would say they've got two standout players from someone that doesn't watch Norwich every week, but occasionally listens to the TNC podcast and a few other fan media outlets. Oliver Skipp, on loan from Tottenham, defensive midfielder, absolute rock for them. Okay, Spurs wanted to keep him. They didn't replace him. They didn't replace him at all. You could say Matthias Norman was brought in to replace him. Not adequate. Injury record, poor. So this is one thing that worries me about Gomez, but I won't go into it. Then they've got Buendia, who, I mean, I would look at it as is our equivalent to Carvalho. So if Carvalho does end up going, that's a player you have to replace, because the goals and assists that he brought to that Norwich team were vital. Norwich won the league last season, and they won it pretty routinely after a poor start. Second half of the season, blew everyone away, win, occasionally draw, very few defeats. And they won the league. They knew they were up early. There wasn't maybe this period now that we have, where I think that we're quite lucky that we don't have many players on loan other than Williams that we're going to look at keeping. Well, we don't have any, do we? So it's one of those where players that they had, like the Greek left back, that name evades me, he was on loan.
Yanulis.
That's it. They had a centre-back on loan. They had Skip on loan. We don't have this. We've got one player, Nico Williams. Can we get him permanently? I think we can if he wants to come. And I think he will. We've got to make use of this window now where we're ahead of the others. We're ahead of our equivalents of Watford and Brentford last year. You look at Brentford this season, I know we're not going to talk about them much, but miles behind Norwich last season. Absolutely miles behind. Nowhere near them. But what do they do in the summer? They recruited in areas that they needed it. And this is what we're talking about with the centre-back. We get that centre-back position right, and we recruit someone that is good enough for the Premier League, like an Anderson from last time. and we have them in from day one. We mustn't remember that Anderson didn't play until that West Brom game, and that must have been about 8 or 9 games in. It's just one of those where if we get it right and we get it right early, and we get a few points on the board early doors, which we just haven't done the last 2 times, then we're in such a good position. And it excites me to hear these rumours because, in my opinion, these are Premier League quality players. These are Premier League quality rumours. And these are the players that we need to add into this team that, let's face it, is the best in the league. This team is the best in the league. So if we can recruit well, we're better than 2 that are coming up as well. We have more time than them. Without being cocky, we have more money than them. Let's face it, we've got such a rich owner.
Touch wood.
Touch wood.
You never know what happens these days.
Yeah, touch wood. I feel like we're in such a strong position compared to the other teams that will be going up this season. So I really hope we can get it right.
Oh, we have to. Just worth noting, we're going to go for about another 5 to 6, 7 more minutes because we've got other commitments. But next week we will be previewing QPR, and let's have an extended chat about what's going on in the Championship because we haven't touched on the actual football side of things for quite a while. Let's end with something I'm extremely excited about, but probably everyone's going to
wonder what this is going to be.
Like, probably people are going to watch this and be like, "What are you on about? This isn't exciting." I am fizzing. Well, you know that, like, obviously I'm a big fan of football shirts, whatever, collected them over lockdown, blah, blah, blah. We apparently are not renewing the contract of Adidas, which means a new kit provider. Now, that hasn't happened since, what, Kappa? Kappa back in 12, 13? Kappa. And Adidas has been a weird one for us because obviously we've had such a, yo-yo, well, not yo-yo, but very much up and down. Boing, we'll call it something else.
West Brom.
And this is quite boring. I mean, if people want to switch off now and go, "Oh God, they're talking about kit," like, feel free. But this is very exciting for me. You got the likes of Nike, whatever. They're quite boring, whatever. But the real up and coming ones right now are, Hummel, and the other one escapes me. I had this all ready for today, but Hummel and Puma. That's it. Puma. They are killing the kit game. And you look at like the Euros kits that they had for 2020. You look at the Bristol City kit. The Bristol City have this year with the Hummel, the central badge. Very retro, very nice.
Badge. Yeah.
And God, I'm banging the drum every year. Sky blue away kit, please. But yeah, it'd be very exciting, Joe, to see what sort of kit design / manufacturer we have for next season, hopefully in the Barclays.
Yeah, I hope so. It's a weird one because I'm buzzing about this news, but I really like this year's kits. But I feel like normally 9 times out of 10, if you're not one of the top 6 clubs, and even them, you get handed a template. You get handed a kit that you could go and buy in Sports Direct and then just whack on the Fulham badge and the sponsor, and it's exactly the same. So really excited about it. As you say, Hummel, am I right in thinking they do Liverpool's kits? I
think that's New Balance.
Got someone else?
Is that New Balance? No. They've got Nike now. Liverpool got Nike. They did have New Balance for a while.
I can't remember who Hummel made the kits of, but I remember that there was one that stood out to me, and it was just a bit different. And this is what I would love at Fulham. And I know you love your kits. I like my kits, maybe not to the same degree, but I do like them. And I would love for something a little bit original, especially as I'm going to say it, we are going up. And I'm going to keep saying that until I'm proved wrong. And I don't think I will be proved wrong. So I would love us we go up, we have a nice new sponsor, we have a new stand, even though we've talked about the slight issues with the pricing. It will be a little bit full, and it's just going to be so exciting. It does feel like that's a nice step for a new era of Fulham, where hopefully we reassert ourselves as a stable Premier League club. And I really, really cannot stress how much I would love just to be boring for a few years. Let's be mid-table for a few years. That would be fantastic. I think I took it for granted when I was growing up, watching us consistently finish 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and thinking, we didn't even finish top half this year. Grr. It's like, it was like those were the good days. Let's get them back.
What I would give to be boring. I was with a really good friend of mine last night, West Ham fan. He's absolutely buzzing with what's going on at the London Stadium at the moment. But yeah, just something like that. I'm not even talking about European football, but that's a a step too far, but just a boring couple of seasons where we finished 13th, 14th, have a couple of decent days out, beat a couple of big boys, beat Brentford. That would be big. They're not safe yet. Joe, we will finish off now because I know we've got things to do. I was just going to say something really quickly. QPR next week, it's coming up. So we will preview that next week, maybe like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever. And we'll talk more about the championship, the state of play. And yeah, very excited. The point I was going to make was something about Norwich, but I can't remember it. So I'll have to say it for next week. Oh no, what they were saying is they don't really know where they're going right now. Because again, they've gone up and they've gone down. And I really hope, obviously, it doesn't happen to us again because it could.
Let's face it, like Jack, 1 year ago when we were talking about that, it's a horrible place to be because you've had the euphoria of coming back up.
It's so peak.
It's just soul destroying. You know that your best players are going, and you know that in a year's time, the best that it's going to be is this. And don't get me wrong, it feels great, but we would much rather be talking about staying up in the Premier League or something like that. This feels amazing and we're not going to get another season like it, but it would just be great to have this, but one step above.
Absolutely. They sort of feel like they've lost their identity. That they're talking about Delia, selling up because suddenly they're in this position where they're going nowhere. I don't want to be in that position, obviously, in a year's time. We trust Marco Silva. We trust the board to get some good signings in early doors. That would be great before pre-season. Let's leave it there. Let's talk next week, Joe, because we have a lot to discuss with QPR next week.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jack. And thanks for watching, guys. If you stuck with us talking about some off-the-field stuff, we will go back to the on-the-pitch stuff next week. But we thought it's been too long since those negative football days that we had a couple of weeks ago. So let's forget about those.
Yeah, West Brom, what? It was a bad away.
Yeah.
I must stress as well, please listen to the latest podcast with Claire. It is a very important subject. I myself suffer from a heart condition, so it definitely resonates with me a lot. So please give that a listen. Please share it on all social media channels as well. And we can't wait for the next few games because I think we might be going up, Joe.
I think we are, Jack.
Yeah, I think QP are not. We'll see. We'll see. Thanks very much for watching. Let's get it ready because I'm never prepared. And we'll see. Oh, God, I actually don't know where. There it is. Come on, Fulham. Let's go, Fulham.